Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. I hope you've enjoyed your weekend so far. It's been a real treat. We've had such beautiful weather to deal with over the weekend. I mean, we've been dry too. We've been really lucky in terms of rain chances. So we're going to be talking about some shower and storms that are going to be moving in tomorrow. We have some slightly higher rain chances for Monday, tomorrow, some of which maybe could be on the strong side, unfortunately. So not looking at widespread severe weather, but we'll go over it. And then also we're going to talk about the heat for this upcoming week. So those are the two primary stories that we're going to be talking about because, lots of wild weather coming our way in terms of, summer-like weather especially. So let's go ahead and get right into things. Here is a live view outside where you can see a little hazy looking out there as the sun's setting. And this is a view of what was the storm that has fizzled out so quickly across parts of southern Indiana. As soon as it tried to move in to Orange County in Indiana, it just went kaput. And that was expected. We weren't expecting too many of these to actually make it to our area. In terms of what we saw in Louisville today, we did make it up to 87 degrees. So it was a warm day, still a little below average. The humidity though was really nice. We did see that on the lower end of the scale. So that was really all weekend long. It was super comfortable. Don't get me wrong. I still broke a sweat yesterday and today when you were outside. It was a little warmer today compared to yesterday. And also I want to say this too. If you're watching, feel free to leave a comment, or if you have any questions, things like that, you can always leave a comment there. And even if you just want to shout out, you can let me know where you're watching from. Also, if anyone's heading out to the movies, I saw Natalia Martinez went to the drive-in. And I think she saw the Barbie movie. I want to see both of them. And I've never been to a drive-in before, so I'm hoping to get to do that. And you guys can let me know which movie you like better. It's a little something to talk about, I guess. Okay, here is a look at the radar right now. Not a ton of these storms have been very unsuccessful in making their way into wave country. And I'll take us a bit further to our north. That's where we have a flash flood warning. That's going to be for a few of our counties outside of wave country. So for Franklin and Ripley County, just dealt with a storm that's kind of dumped a lot of heavy rain repeatedly because it's redeveloped over the same spot over and over. But that's out of our area. This storm could clip far, far, far northeastern fringes of Jennings County. It's going to come very, very close. I'm trying to zoom in, but I've already seen the outflow. Looks like the outflow is already pushed out from the storm. And when that happens, usually the storm begins to weaken if it runs into some of that cooler air. So you can kind of see, let me get the little pin tool so I can draw and show you guys what I'm talking about. Because when that happens, like the cooler air, the rain-cooled air, it rushes out ahead of the storm and it creates a more stable environment. So any sort of storm chances, any sort of storm ingredients start to become much lower, and the storm kind of dies off essentially and diminishes because it just doesn't have much to work off of. So that's what we're going to see, especially too with the sun going down. These will continue to weaken. So it might run into a little bit of northwestern parts of or northeastern. Oh my gosh, I always struggle with my directions sometimes. I know what they are, just sometimes I forget. But anyway, that's what we're dealing with. Just a couple of those very, very isolated showers for northeastern Jennings County. I was going to get it eventually. So we're dry right now. Oh, you can actually see the cooler temperatures up near North Vernon too. That rain-cooled air has rushed in that we were talking about. 78 degrees, 72 in Carrollton. Ooh, feeling nice. We have another nice night on the way too. We've had just wonderful luck in terms of the temperatures each and every morning and overnight. Hopefully you've been able to open up the windows. I know in the metro it hasn't been quite as cool. We've been right around the upper 60s, low 70s, but still, especially outlying areas, even just kind of in the burbs, it's been pretty nice. A few of your all's comments. David says, good evening from Shepherdsville. And said, can't really see all my Band-Aids. Thank you. I appreciate that. I scraped myself up pretty good yesterday. So if you've seen the Band-Aids, I have one on my knee and like my elbows. So yeah, and I had a little scratch on my forehead. You can still kind of see it too. I'm just a big old klutz. So we're all good though. You can't really see it. And I'm fully functioning. So that's good. But thank you, David, for that. Hello to Ron Crow from Highview. Derek Wells says, will restaurants and stores be fine in Floyd and Clark County tomorrow? Yeah, it's a very, very, very low risk of an isolated strong storm or two. Really just got to be careful if you have outdoor plans. That's really what I think most people should look out for. Mike Helton says, never been to a drive-in. Really? Where did you grow up at? I grew up here in Louisville. I just never went to one. Or maybe I don't think I have. If I did, I don't remember it and I was too young. And I know we have a couple of them around here. I love the movies though. I love going to the movies. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love the popcorn. I love getting the soft drink or an icy and loading up with butter. Yeah, it's just a fun experience because you're just like, yeah. Anyway, I will stop rambling about my love of movies. Good evening to you, Mary Williams. She says, good evening from Sonora. I really wish it was spring weather. I know. Well, I wish for spring temperatures because spring temperatures feel nicer, obviously, but the weather in terms of storms, don't love that. But David Jones, I'm assuming you mean Columbus, Ohio. Gotcha. My daughter is in Columbus for a concert, and they said that they had to evacuate the stadium due to a thunderstorm. Oh my gosh. Well, hopefully she's okay. And so is everyone else. Yeah, lightning is not anything you want to mess around with when it comes to thunderstorms. It's unpredictable. It's like the most unpredictable part of weather. You don't know what's happening until it kind of does. So we know when a storm can have lightning, but where exactly it's going to strike is that to me is a little scary. But anyway, we are going to be seeing our shower and storm chances increase for tomorrow. Keep in mind these chances and the timing might change a bit because the models are not in great agreement with rain chances for tomorrow, of course. They just are high resolution data. So essentially it's the near term. That's what we usually go off of when it comes to a lot of our fine tuning of our forecasts and really, nailing down the timeline. But for tomorrow, I think we'll see a pretty decent increase in shower and storm activity. It's not going to be a washout. I would not cancel your plans. I think a lot of these are going to be arriving tomorrow evening anyway. So unless you have evening outdoor plans, I think you'll be in pretty good shape. Okay, let's see some more comments. Crystal says, I don't know if I missed it, but how is the weather for this week? Any storms for this week in the metro? Yeah, we do have. That's what we're talking about right now. And I'll get to later on this week in a little bit. But tomorrow we're going to talk about it because, and Mary Williams also asks if there are any storm chances on Thursday. I believe, I want to say there is. I can't remember off the complete top of my head because we have just a bunch of small rain chances essentially this week. They're going to say pretty isolated. Tomorrow, we do have a level 1 of 5 risk for seeing a couple of isolated strong storms, just nothing too crazy. Just you don't want to be caught outside in any of these. So just make sure you're paying attention to that. Maybe if you have plans on heading to the lake because it's going to be so hot, hopefully you have something that has a lot of air conditioning or you have a boat that you can submerge yourself. You can jump in the water easily because it's going to be hot this week. It's going to be one of the bigger stories. But this level 1 risk, that's the lowest on the scale. It's what we call marginal risk. And it's in all of our counties are included in that. It's like the green shaded polygon looking thing you see there. We've showed it plenty of times to you guys before. Okay, so here is FUTURECAST. So if you're wondering about tomorrow's storms, this is, it's a good question too, Nancy Spencer. Weather Wednesday, first day of school for Greater Clark County. Yeah, we've been watching that too. We were talking about school starting in Clark County. So we'll go over that too. We'll get to all that, I promise everyone. But again, I appreciate the questions because that helps me in terms of what to steer towards. So I'll talk about these rain chances and then we'll get into this week's forecast a little bit more because I know everyone's trying to make plans for the week and figure out how and when they're going to do things. So tomorrow, this is what we call the HRRR. It wants to have a couple of morning showers, mainly to our north and west. Those are going to be very, I think, isolated and very hit or miss. And by the time they try to form, not going to have much happening. So I'm not terribly confident that we'll even see any of that rain, especially for areas along and south of the river once again. Better chances of storms will arrive tomorrow afternoon. Sorry, I'm just reading everyone's comments, making sure I'm caught up. But better storm chances will arrive tomorrow afternoon. That's when we'll start to see the peaking of the day, because it will be a little hotter. It will be a little more humid for tomorrow. And you're going to notice that difference. We'll see winds shift from the south and west. So we'll start to see this pattern change that's going to lead into the hot temperatures later on this week. So that is, oh, I clicked off of it, so it's going to start over. That is what FutureCast looks like by roughly 4 or 5 p.m. A couple of isolated showers. We could see some of these showers create boundaries, and that could trigger more showers and storms, which is pretty much what we've seen happen over the last several weeks. Just create some of these heavier downpours. Some of these could have some gusty winds and lightning, some heavy rain. Small hail, I think, is unlikely, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like pea-sized hail. Maybe with some of the taller thunderstorms. You'll see some pinks try to move in there too. And this is after sunset. So this model, even in particular, might be overdoing it a little bit, but we'll have enough storm energy to work with tomorrow in the atmosphere to see some storms get going at least. But just how long they last after sunset is going to be one of the bigger questions. But hey, after about midnight, like 1 or 2 in the morning, a lot of these get out of our hair pretty quickly. So we'll be in good shape for then. Okay, let's start to talk more on the other big story for this week, because I know lots of kids are heading back to school this week. Well, one of our bigger counties that we serve here in Wave Country, which I can't believe they go back to school on like this Wednesday. That's so soon. I feel like it's still July, but I know you guys have a different schedule. But it's good. The big story this week will be the heat. Anyone who sees rain will likely see some temporarily cooler temperatures before it turns really hot and muggy again. So we'll see dew points into the 60s at least through this week. Once we start to get close to 70, that's where it's like, all right, this is not fun. This is, difficult to be out in. It's like the immediate sweat, all of that fun stuff we see during the summer. So if you've been wondering where our July weather has been and where our summer weather has been, because this summer, we haven't seen that many 90-degree days, but that's going to be changing, because in fact, through this 10-day, we have almost every day in the 90s at this point, hoping that maybe we'll change and be a little bit cooler. At least a couple of days would be nice, a little bit of a break, especially for our air conditioning units rather. So yeah, on Wednesday, it's going to be one of the hot days, 94 degrees. We'll start to see the 90s as early as Tuesday, and then we'll peak right around Friday with a high of 96 degrees. Okay. Bonnie Faywicker says, any storms for Taylor County? They're going to be pretty hit or miss. I think the best chances will take place for our spots in southern Indiana once again, but we could likely see some, I would say north of the parkways, we have the best chances of seeing that, but that's for tomorrow's storms. But the heat, that's going to be the other big story. And I've been saying this a lot this week, just make sure your neighbors are in good shape. The elderly, check on each other, take care of each other. Just because when we have temperatures this hot, that's where we can start to run into some dangerously hot temperatures. And we don't want anyone to be caught outside in that or be stuck without shelter or water. Because our heat index, once we factor in that humidity, it's probably going to be approaching well into the low 100s, I would say. It's at least with what we're thinking so far. I've had a couple of questions about rain chances. Wednesday, Thursday, 20% chance. So nothing too crazy. It's going to be more than likely driven by the heat and humidity. So we'll see some of those afternoon, kind of very typical of summertime months. Nothing that looks too terribly impressive just yet. So that's why the rain chances are pretty low this weekend. Well, I guess next weekend technically. That's when we'll see temperatures try to drop off a bit. We'll likely see some sort of front or boundary try to move in. The models we're trying to point out, but again, the timing of that is still kind of all over the place. So we'll see how this week plays out in the next couple of days, especially. So we'll get a better idea of the timing of those a little more specifically, as we always do. You can probably notice that once we get closer, we get a little bit better of idea. But temperatures, mid 90s, woof. Yeah, I will not be going outside very much. And also, the pets too. I meant to, I was still going on that tangent. So when it comes to dogs and your pets, and if, hopefully you've got to bring them inside when it's this hot. You just got to take care of them or make sure they have a cool spot at least. But I even think if this is going to be too hot to leave your pets out in. And also when you have to take them outside, avoid the pavement. This is something I feel like a lot of people don't think about. One of my best friends, Taylor Hernandez, she works in TV news as well. We work to different stations, but same city in Myrtle Beach. And she was always checking the pavement and the concrete with her hands to make sure that it wasn't too hot to touch. Because if it's too hot for your hand, it's definitely too hot for their paws. Their paws are so sensitive and so important to how they breathe. And they have all the fur, even, the shorter hair dogs, they have a lot of fur to deal with too. So gotta love our animals. I am an animal lover. As you guys know, I do not discriminate. Mary says, I will definitely make sure our 2 dogs and cat and make sure our chickens and chicks have fresh water. Oh, so cute. That's good, but I'm glad you're doing that. And everyone just needs to make sure they're taking the necessary precautions to stay cool. And hopefully we'll get a decent break again, because this weekend's been so, so nice. It was so wonderful to step outside. When you walk outside, and it's like last week, I just remember every day it was just like smacking you in the face. Oof, it was rough. And it's just hard to breathe. It's not fun to be out in. I could go on for days about complaining, but at least our storm chances are going to be a little lower. So we won't hopefully have to deal with storms and the heat, even though sometimes the rain can help cool us off a little bit, at least temporarily. But yeah. Oh, David, that's a very nice compliment. Thank you. He said you might be a klutz, but you are a great meteorologist. Thank you. Definitely a klutz for sure. But if you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to hop off here. We, of course, have Wave News at 11. That'll be coming up in a couple of hours. It's going to be about 2 hours and 50 minutes. I'm not good at mental math on the cuff, but that's okay. All right. I think we are all done. There's a little bit of a delay sometimes when I see your all's comments, at least if you're watching from Facebook or YouTube, where you can comment. But I hope you guys enjoy the rest of this really beautiful weather, and I hope the temperatures cool off enough for you to have a nice, calm, cool evening. We've been really lucky with our showers and storms so far. So it's been nice and dry. We'll be watching those rain chances for you tomorrow, and we'll be back. Me, or Noelle, Dusty, and I will all be back tonight at 11. Oh my goodness. Can you tell I need to go to sleep? But you guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your night, and we will see you back here tonight at 11.